It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hey guys, what's up? You're watching Up and Adam. My name's Adam Knoll. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm the guy bringing you guys all of the interviews from your favorite celebrities and pop culture influencers. But for those of you who do know me, you know that that's not why we're always here, right? Guys, it's my favorite time of the week. It's the Real Housewives of New York, Season 12, Episode 22, Reunion, Part 1. If you missed it, go back and watch it before you watch this recap. Sometimes I even say watch the recap first. Go back and watch it. I thought it was so good, especially after watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which kind of tanked for me. This was amazing. Before we jump into it, guys, you know how this works. Make sure you like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and most importantly, subscribe to my channel, wherever that button is. That way you don't miss any of my future interviews or pop culture content. All right, guys, holy cow, what a reunion. And I thought it was amazing the fact that we got to have all of the ladies in person. Sure, they were social distance, they were 6 feet apart, they had their masks, but they weren't on a Zoom call, which at this point during the pandemic and quarantine is so freaking refreshing. I have to say, it's so refreshing. So basically, before the cast members relive some of the most outrageous moments of this season, they're about to call out one castmate in particular for some of her bad quarantine behavior. One castmate in particular who went down to Florida, quarantined with her ex-husband and her daughter, went around allegedly without masks, went to parties, and had what they're saying the time of her life was. I don't know, but if you guys missed the mark, I'm talking about Ramona. Before we jump into that, guys, though, let's just talk about all of the ladies are arriving. Ramona's excited. I feel like everyone's excited. They end up asking Ramona, how was quarantine? She spent it with Mario and her daughter down in Florida, but there's no hope for any reconciliation. Luann's still working on her now non-existent cabaret. Doesn't matter who you want to marry, F, kill now, because there's really nobody to listen to it. Unless you do a Zoom cabaret, which you could start that. And then, bam! Just like that, Leah calls out Ramona for her bad quarantine behavior, and that's when it all pops off right away. It all pops off because Leah was just like, what were you thinking with your bad behavior? Not wearing a mask, going out to social events, partying, having the time of your life when we're supposed to be in a pandemic. Ramona kind of steers away a little bit and goes back to the fact that Leah attacked her first on social media and gave her the middle finger. I'm not going to give it to you, but it's somewhere in between these 5. And yeah. Then from there, of course, we're going to ride these coattails in. Andy brought up the fact that Dorinda was previously upset because Ramona ended up going to a Donald Trump Jr. party where his wife allegedly tested positive for COVID-19 right after. But she said she was safe. She was safe. And Leah's point is, it doesn't matter if you were safe. It doesn't matter if you were wearing a mask. The point is, again, why are you out and about having the time of your life, having smiles, laugh, haha, kiki, caviar, while everybody else is in quarantine and a pandemic? It's kind of like you're just not aware of what's going on. And that's what Leah's trying to point out. But I'm curious, guys, I'm not going to judge. I want to know what you guys think. Before I continue, comment below. Are you guys team Leah or are you team Ramona? Should she be enjoying her quarantine, having the time of her life? Or should she be a little bit more aware and just more aware? Regardless, who needs to be aware is all of the women, because they're all shouting all over each other, kind of trying to cross over. Each one's trying to get their point across. And finally, Andy has to yell, be quiet, be quiet. And I think he thought that he was excited about getting the first in-person reunion in such a long time. But be careful what you ask for, Andy, because you got it. Now it's not on Zoom, and now you can't really control them. But I'm all for it. I'm loving this reunion so far. So guys, since you brought up Leah, we end up taking a flashback to Leah, her whole journey on the Real Housewives of New York, and her journey as a first-year housewife, which I have to say, impressive. She came in swinging, and I know you guys are going to critique me on this, and you're going to say she came in drunk. She was swinging like Tarzan from Curtains. She was this and that and whatever. But you know what? You're talking about her. She made it a little bit less boring, a little bit less cringeworthy to watch, in my opinion. Unless you guys are saying her drinking was cringeworthy, then you guys have the wrong network. Maybe don't watch Bravo, because I feel like that's all these housewives do. But back to Leah, she didn't have a drink for 9 years, and now she is back to drinking during the season. And as we come to find out pretty early on, her mother, Bunny, was not really excited about that. Luann feels like Leah's tough but vulnerable. Ramona says that Leah listens without judgment. Tinsley loves her confidence, and Dorinda loves the fact that she offers a different angle. So it sounds like, Leah, you're winning over the hearts of everyone so far. Except all of you who are about to comment on my video telling me how much you hate her and how much you hate me for just saying that. But I still love you guys though. Leah does a little bit of reflecting and says she started back drinking in the spring before the show started. And no, she didn't start back drinking because of the show. But she is thankful that the 9 months that she was drinking was with these women, the housewives, if she was going to be drinking at all. I don't know if she was so thankful that it's all documented though, but I'm sure she was thankful for the paycheck. And since we're talking about drinking right now, oh man, what a cringe-worthy season. So speaking of drinks, there were a lot of them. Actually, a lot of the fans reached out to Bravo this season and said that the drinking was so out of control that it was almost too cringe-worthy to watch, that people had to stop watching because they couldn't handle it. So Dorinda ended up pointing out the fact that all of the women, except for one, stopped drinking as soon as filming stopped, right? That one would be Ramona. But Ramona says that when she goes out that she drinks water. She's not in fact drinking alcohol, she's drinking water. That's why she's so thin. Dorinda says, actually, you're not thin. You're not that thin. Oh God, this made me cringe. You're disgusting. This whole conversation made me cringe. This all made me cringe. This reunion is making me cringe, but I'm living for it. And I know you guys are too. Let's keep moving. Leah goes on to point out that when everyone else drinks, it's fun, but when it's her drinking, it's a big problem, and all of the attention's on her, and it's taboo, and she shouldn't be drinking, and yada, yada, yada. But the same rules don't apply for everybody else. I kind of see where she's coming from in this instance, but also at the same time, Leah, nobody else is throwing raviolis across the table. Nobody else is swinging from curtains. Nobody else is throwing these tiki torches like they're in Game of Thrones, and nobody else is running around the backyard naked. So what do you say about that? I don't know, Leah. I want to stick up for you, but I'm just saying I can understand a little bit. Again, with the drinking, guys, speaking of drinking, even more speaking of drinking, Luann went on to say that she didn't want to be labeled this season with alcohol. She was very careful, very aware, and she didn't want to be associated because she knows how damaging that could be. And she's worked really hard on her cabaret. In fact, if you haven't heard her, she'll tell you 100 times every single episode during the season how much she's been working on her cabaret. Cabaret, 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 cabaret. It's almost a housewives drinking game at this point, where you can watch a episode of Real Housewives of New York and take a shot every time you hear a cabaret. By the end of it, I promise you, you're going to be a little bit plastered. Seriously. Andy brought up the fact that a fan reached out and asked Dorinda why she gets so aggressive and mean when she's approached about her drinking. Dorinda went to kind of protect herself and defend herself by saying she gets that way because she becomes uncomfortable when people start becoming accusatory towards her about her drinking. So that's her reasoning. While Ramona says if you ever thought she looked drunk, it was just the meds. Thanks, Ramona. This is why we keep you on, because woohoo! You are just, that's why we love you. Moving on, let's give Tinsley some of the limelight since she left mid-season. Tinsley had her fairy tale ending with the Coupon King. So she ended up leaving mid-season, leaving New York City to go to Chicago to be with her new man, Scott. She's now newly engaged and she's happy. She's excited. She didn't have the best or easiest season, especially not with Dorinda. A lot of the fans felt like Dorinda was attacking her the whole season, or at least the first half of the season. Tinsley felt the same way, and she felt like she couldn't really open up and talk about Scott this season. She felt like anytime she was going to open up and talk about Scott, that she was going to receive a lot of flack. She didn't want to talk about her personal life. She didn't want to talk about having babies. None of that. She felt like, honestly, afraid of Dorinda. And I love Dorinda, but I do have to say, Dorinda, you were a little harsh on Tinsley. Tinsley said that really Leah was the only one who was super supportive of her. And when one of the fans asked, did Scott give you an ultimatum for you to either be single and live in New York City and have your housewives Bravo lifestyle, or come and be with me and get married in Chicago? Did Scott give you that ultimatum? But Tinsley swears, no, he didn't. I chose to go there. We had this kind of conversation together. We're in love and we want to be together. And that's it. Guys, is it really so hard to believe that love is going to trump a position on the Real Housewives of New York? And no offense or disrespect to Tinsley, but her position was kind of the same relevance as Teddy's on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. No shade, no shade, no shade, and don't rip me apart, but honestly, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of storyline all of the time with Tinsley. So I think this was the best way to send her out. And I love that she gets a happy ending. It's positive. When Andy addressed Dorinda's anger towards Tinsley and he brought up the turkey baster moment and Tinsley just said that it was mean-spirited. It just wasn't nice. And Dorinda apologized for it. So Tinsley kind of responded with, "It's too little too late." Sorry, Dorinda. Andy did agree that it was mean. And then a viewer did ask, what's your problem with Tinsley to Dorinda? Well, a fan asked within the cards in Andy's card. You guys know how this works. I don't have to explain that. Goes on to explain that fans don't get to see a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot that we don't get to see that she can't even explain to us. So before you judge, you just have to know that there's a lot, again, that you don't get to see. Whereas Tinsley was like, Dorinda's had this hatred for me for a long time. She's been coming after me for a long time, and say whatever you want, Dorinda, but this has always existed. Now, I'm not sure whose side you guys are on. You guys let me know in the comments below. I thought this was such a great reunion, especially after the lackluster Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, but you guys know how this works. Before we jump back into this tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we do a live recap of the Real Housewives of New York reunion, part 1, guys, like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and most importantly, subscribe to my channel, wherever that button is below. That way you don't miss any of our future interviews or pop culture content. Except for you, Jolene. We don't need you here. But thanks, guys, so much. And if you haven't already, check out the merch store. We're giving back 50% to bullying. Who doesn't want to give back a great cause? And we're also showcasing my awesome friend who's an artist, Nicole Steffes. I'll see you guys later. Check out the merch store below. Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Check us out every Monday and Wednesday. Thanks for watching Up and Adam.